Yo, what's going on everyone, Zkarma here, and welcome back to another Borderlands 3 video. Today I bring you the top 10 shields in all of Borderlands 3. The shields on this list will be in no specific order, so please keep that in mind. They will be, in my opinion, the best shields to use on Mayhem 10. So before I get into this top 10, if you find it informative or helpful in any way, a like rating is always appreciated, and if you want to subscribe for more content like this, that'll be awesome as well. Starting off this list, we have a classic, the Transformer. This is a shield that a lot of people have been using since the release of the game. It is one of the best shields for survivability, and with good reason. First, it is 100% resistant to shock damage, so it makes you immune to any shock damage that is incoming or that you apply to yourself. It also absorbs all incoming shock and turns it into shields. So basically, you can keep your shield at 100% capacity if you are fighting enemies that deal shock to you, or if you purposely apply shock splash damage to yourself. And it also has a 40% chance to absorb bullets, adding them to your ammo count. So in terms of survivability, this is one of the best shields out there. This shield can be a world drop, but if you want to farm the dedicated source, it will be Queen Antoinette, located at the Splinterlands on Pandora. The drop rate you should expect is around 15%. Next up, we have the Stopgap. Again, another shield that players have been using for a long time. On shield break, you become immune to any damage taken for 5 seconds. It is great for survivability. You don't even need a specific anointment on the shield in order to make it viable. However, if you combine it with the action skill start anointment, you can activate the shield break effect every time you activate your action skill, giving you 5 seconds of immunity on command. So if you are close into going into fight for your life, you can just activate your action skill and have enough time to regen your health and shields. This shield can be found as a world drop, but if you want to get it more often, you can farm El Dragon Jr. located at the Jacob's Estate on Eden 6. The drop rate you should expect is around 15%. Moving on, we have the front loader. This is typically one that I would not include on this list. So basically, this shield will reserve 60% of your max health and return it as shield capacity. So in essence, you will always be at 40% health. This has always been a decent option for Moze because she can take advantage of having increased shields with her skill trees. However, for the rest of the characters, it wasn't very good. But thanks to the anointment that gives you 150% bonus radiation damage while under 50% health, this shield is amazing. If you use weapons with the URAD anointment, you can get 150% bonus radiation damage forever, without the need to activate it somehow. This makes the front loader extremely viable on all 4 characters and worthy of a spot on this list. The shield is a world drop, but if you want to farm a dedicated source, it will be Private Beans located on Athenas. Next up, we have the Stinger. I had to include this shield on this list because of the ridiculous damage it can do. So basically, this shield has 3 guaranteed perks: Stinger, Spike, and Melee Nova. The Stinger perk does this: while full, melee damage is increased by 50%. Spike returns damage to enemies when you are meleeed while shielded. And then we have Melee Nova, which is the only one that matters in this situation. This one is going to be a Nova that activates on shield break. The Nova will do around 81,000 base damage. However, this Nova deals melee damage, and melee gates a 1500% increase on Mayhem 10. So instead, it deals over 1.2 million damage. And this can be further increased by getting melee damage increased from skills, class mods, or holding weapons that increase your melee damage. Then it can be further increased with splash damage and AoE damage increases. You can also get an elemental stinger, which means that the Nova will also receive elemental damage increases. This just makes it so that every time your shield breaks, you can deal more than 50 million damage easily. So the anointment that I recommend is the action skill start anointment. To get the shield, you do need to farm Anathema located at the Guardian Takedown and expect a probability to get the shield of about 42%. Next up, we have the Old God shield. I had to include this one on this list because it is great regardless of what anointment you put on it. The effect that it has is very straightforward. First, it will give you a bonus of 20% to the element of the shield. It also gives you plus 25% elemental damage resistance. So it is great to increase your elemental damage and helps you take less elemental damage. The best ones you should look out for are the Bullet Buffet Old God, the Multivitamin Old God, and the Weatherproof Old God. All really good for survivability. In order to farm this shield, you do need to have DLC number 2, and you need to farm either a Mock or Empowered Gron. Both will have about a 10% drop rate. Moving on, we have the version 0.m. This is a shield that always gets slept on for some reason. Such a great shield, and for good reason. It has 3 different effects. First, it has M shot when shields are full. The next shot will drain 25% of shields to deal plus 100% damage, which is a lot of damage. It is worth noting though that the 100% bonus will only apply to 1 pellet in the multi-pellet weapons, but it is definitely really nice with single pellet weapons. Additionally, on shield break, the shield will drop a red circle that lasts for 6 seconds, and if you stand in that circle, you will get plus 50% damage, which includes bonuses to action skill damage. Great offensive shield when used with the proper setup. If you want to farm the shield, you need to kill Valkyrie Squad or Wotan at the Maliwan's takedown. Next up, we have the Plus Ultra. What I really like about the shield is that you do not need a specific build or anointment in order for this to perform. When used, it has a 25% chance to absorb bullets as ammo and increase action skill cooldown rate by 30% for a few seconds. Additionally, it has a secret buff that increases your max health by 100%, which is huge. Works really well when you're using characters with built-in lifesteal or with artifacts that grant health regen. If you want to get this shield, you will need to have DLC number 4 and farm Dr. Benedict for a 10% drop rate. Next up, we have the Nova Burner. This shield is just insane. At level 65, when your shield breaks or fills, it will release a Nova that deals 81k incendiary damage. On Mayhem 10, this actually receives a 3300% increase, so instead it'll deal around 2.7 million base damage. This can be further increased with splash, AoE, and elemental damage increases, and it can get even crazier if you find one with double Nova perks. This will make it deal more damage every time your shield breaks. The anointment that I recommend is the action skill start anoint, or the one that gives you plus 50% bonus incendiary damage on action skill end. If you want to farm this shield, you can farm vending machines or the power troopers at the Atlas HQ on Promethea for a 2.5% drop rate per power trooper. Before we move on, I quickly wanted to mention the Recharge Burner Shield, which combines the effects of the Nova Burner and the Recharger Shield. Really good alternative to both if you're interested. Moving on, we have the One-Shotter Shield, and this thing is insane. When full, it drains 20% of shields for 100% amp damage. Absolutely insane because it also applies to every pellet in multi-pellet weapons, unlike the amp from the version 0.m and the Rerouter shields. I know this is a purple shield, but I had to include it on this list because it is just too good to pass up. You can use snipers and launchers to one-shot bosses with the right build. This is without a doubt the best amped shield in the game, and no one can dispute that. I do recommend that you use this shield for bossing or on Zane with the shield barrier, which will allow you to keep getting those amped shots due to your shield being intact. Unfortunately, this is only a world drop, and you will need to get extremely lucky to get one of these. You can also farm vending machines if you wish. Now, before I get into the final shield on this list, I wanted to give a few honorable mentions to some shields that are really good. First off, all the Nova shields that could not make it on this list, like the Faulty Star, the Void Rift, the purple shields with multiple Nova perks, etc. All of those offensive shields can be very decent with the action skill start anoint. Other honorable mentions go out to the Rico, the Red Suit, the Rerouter, the Recharger, and the Band of Sidorak, also the Big Boom Blaster, and of course any purple shield with 3 of the same perks like the One-Shotter Shield. All of those mentioned shields are really good. And now for the final one on this list, we have a personal favorite of mine, the Frozen Heart. This shield is incredible for survivability. When enemies break your shield, you will create this Cryonova that instantly freezes any enemy that can be frozen. That Nova also deals 40k cryo damage, which can obviously be further increased with elemental and splash increases. And on top of that, it receives a 3300% increase in damage on Mayhem 10. This makes the shield deal millions of damage on shield break. And 30% of the Nova's damage will be returned as health. So not only will it freeze all nearby enemies, it will also deal millions of damage and restore your health to 100%. One of the best defensive shields in the game. The anointment that I do recommend is the action skill start anoint. So if you want to get the shield, you do need to farm Aurelia at the Jacob's Estate on Eden 6. The drop rate you should expect is around 15%. And before I end this video, I did want to mention the Frozen Snowshoe. It combines the effects of the Frozen Heart and the Red Card Shield. Really good alternative to the Frozen Heart in my opinion. And that will be it for today's list. Hope you all found it helpful. And if you liked the video, please don't forget to drop a like. And if you want to subscribe for more content like this, that'll be awesome as well. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out.